Yeah, it's split. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, the writers aren't left with much hope of a. Well, I guess you might. I'm a bit of a romantic, happy ending. Not that every aspect has to be sunshine and rainbows, but if you want a completely dark, depressing ending, I guess you could go watch. Man, the title doesn't even come to mind. The majority of films do have a fairly satisfactory or enjoyable ending. Pleasant is the word. So, if he heals, I'm worried because after everything that he's been taught the past 2 seasons, all the investments the audience has made in him, it'd be a shame if we as the viewer see him really go back to like the way he was in season 1, episode 10, where he was just angry about everybody except his sensei. Only now he would even be mad at his sensei. Like, remember, that was his sensei's word to him is what came to mind right before he spared Robbie Keane. That's what made him decide to do it. When he remembered Johnny saying, "I wasn't taught the difference between mercy and honor, and I paid the price for it." So that would be pretty sad, And then it just kind of, he's crippled. I don't know how it's gonna go with him, but um, I think that's everything I have written here. But there's a few things I want to say off the script. So one thing is I needed a minute to kind of collect my thoughts and the main things I want to say. So, but continuing with Miguel, there's a little more I have to say about him. I think he's probably going to be unconscious or in the coma for first episode or two. And I think several people might come to see him. First and foremost, I can think of his mom probably and Johnny. Oh, and of course, how could I forget Allie? Allie Mills or Mills Schwarber probably going to come back, and since I think she's a doctor of some kind, what is she? I forget what kind she is, but anyway, she might be able to help him in some way, or be able to identify what's wrong with him. Maybe help the doctors to heal him. And Johnny will probably come and talk to him, or just stay by his side. Maybe, tell him how sorry he is. Robbie might even stop in, but I think primarily it might be Sam, because the guy, that guy, Hayden. I need to. I say that so nonchalantly. This is the creator. Gonna say, so I gotta show some respect here. But he said that Mr. Schwartz. I'm having trouble remembering his last name. I think it might be German. Anyway, said that him and Miguel and Sam are gonna share a soda. So I'm trying to think in what context that would happen. It could either be after he's healed, they go to one of those diners like Johnny and Miguel went to in episode 3 of season 2, and the one he wanted to go to on that answering machine when Johnny was getting emotional at the end. They could go there and get a soda, or somewhere else, one of those old-fashioned uh, soda shops where you go get a float with a root beer and play the jukebox. I gotta stay on track here. Oh gosh. But I think it more likely. How about this? She comes, and he's restricted to water, maybe their juice, but he wants soda, so she sneaks him in an ice cold soda, and that opens the door for a bit of conversation. She's there by his bed talking to him because he said that Miguel and Tori are not staying together. So I don't know. He might get kind of closer to Sam again. I have a feeling Robbie might try and isolate himself, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. Um, yeah, Robbie, that's real sad. See, the first time they met, just like Johnny and Daniel, was on the beach, kind of in a conflict over a girl. One of them pushed the other, and that starts the incident. Miguel was the one who started it. I mean, he pushed Robbie. By that point, he was intoxicated, but he was also indoctrinated by the philosophy. Johnny finally rectified the problem with the no mercy um, mantra, and I think it was episode 7, but it was a bit too little, too late. Actually, I think that was episode 8 of season 2, Glory of Love, which is a great song, by the way. But anyway, So I think it might have been too little too late. But um, Robbie and Miguel have had their little skirmishes. The first big one was in episode 10, of course, when they fought in the finals. And people give Robbie a lot of trouble for, I don't know, I guess being a druggie. Even before season 2 came out, they didn't like him. They liked Miguel, I guess, because of the image, or the innocent image he had in the first couple episodes, first half of the season. He became tough. About halfway through the season, the Cobras were really kind of bringing justice, and they were like avengers of right. But then they started overdeveloping their muscles, get their beer muscles by episode 9 when they were getting drunk on the beach, and became bullies pretty much, especially Hawk, the way he was treating Dimitri. And I got some hope for Hawk, or Eli. I really like Dimitri. He seems like the ideal Miyagi-Do student. I've seen it said in the comments, and I agree. He doesn't like to fight. He does it only as a last resort. Probably mainly more because of concern for himself than his opponent, wanting not to get hurt. But still, it shows a level of pacifism that can be refreshing amidst all the wave of aggression in the show. Not that I don't like not that I don't watch it for that. I do watch it for that. But it can get so intense sometimes, with all the fighting. But I think it's paced really well. That show is very well designed. With every episode, at least has some action, but some have more than others. They know how to tone it down a bit. They know when to heat it up, and the chemistry is also very good between, especially the older characters like Kreese, Daniel, Johnny. So another thing I thought of was, you remember how like the last scene of season 2, very last scene was Johnny reminiscing on the beach about what had happened, kind of the aftermath, which is the first episode of season 3. I think in order for to have the necessary impact, I think some of that depression from Johnny is going to have to carry over into the beginning of season 3, and I think he may be fairly inactive for the first couple of episodes. I think he may go back to doing a bit of electrician work, really fall off the saddle, so that they can give Daniel in his trip on Okinawa a bit more screen time. So the first couple episodes, they really flesh out the country of Okinawa and we get to see it. Then they tone that back a bit. He might be there, like, I don't know, the first half of the season, my guess, before he comes back. Half season, over half the season, my guess. But Johnny, because that to really hit home, I feel like he's gonna have to be knocked out for a little while, kind of like knocked off his guard, on his back, up the creek, out a paddle. He threw his keys, I think, his phone away, his beer, left his car. He's pretty depressed. I don't even know if he might just be on the street, kind of just sleeping there, not really working. But I think that's good in order for it to be believable to the audience, because I do care about believability and reliability. I'm not somebody who just wants some cheeky, ending that you would consider pleasant or nice. I want a nice ending. I want good progression, good character progression, and that's what I've gotten so far. I just get worried sometimes, like I said earlier, the writers digging themselves into a hole where it's hard to write your way out of it. I've seen it a lot. A show can be really good, capture lightning in a bottle, and, as long as they keep that up, I thought the progression in 2, they raised the stakes just right to build the conflicts between two dojos. First season, mostly just one dojo with one student, Cobra Kai with Miguel for most of it. Eventually it got some more students. Well, a lot actually after 1-5. But still it felt smaller, and they successfully raised the stakes. But once you fall off the once you lose your momentum, I think it's kind of hard to get it back. You can't capture the lightning again. But I think they still have that lightning bolt that they had in 2018, and they're just getting it more powerful. And so he's just charging more power, right? So if they can keep season 3 being epic, and do even more without overdoing it, keeping it, because I think one of the reasons people like this is so down to earth. It doesn't have any special effects, no explosions. It's very simple. It's politically incorrect. It's good actors, very appealing to the audience, and it's simple. I like that. It's simple. It's deep, but simple, you know? I think I heard nostalgia critics say once that something can be deep and simple, or it can be shallow and complex. Um, the plot, yeah, the plot. Let me put it this way: the plot is simple. The characters, and I think the characters are complex. That's what's complex. Because I was thinking, yeah, but there's something complex about it. I'm missing something here the way I'm putting this. But yeah, the characters, like the rivalries in this show, most of them, I guess you could say they're a bit unrealistic in that they're based heavily on misunderstandings. Like the reason Miguel got so mad at her on the beach, aside from being wasted, was because he was trying to text her, but she couldn't respond because she was grounded. They make some situations that they're believable at a bit of a stretch, and once you go on them, go on these. I mean, that's not usually how it is. Usually, I agree with like what Dimitri was saying. This isn't a two sides to the story thing. This is a clear cut situation where he antagonized me, or whatever. Um, Not that Dimitri was necessarily right. The guy he was arguing with in that instance, I think, might have been more correct than he was. But I still like Dimitri. But usually, I think in real life, um, one person is usually in the right pretty clearly. I'm stuttering a lot because I don't know how to put this. I can usually understand both sides, but it's usually obvious who's in the right. In Cobra Kai, it's a lot more hard to discern because both sides are coming at it and they can both be. Oh, it's more like saying they're both equally wrong than both equally right. Like when Johnny came to Daniel's house in 1-9, he didn't know that Daniel wasn't responsible. The guy who came and burned his car said that Daniel was, so he probably had no reason to doubt him. So he just showed up on Daniel's property. Daniel did the same in 210 when he came trying to find his daughter, and he kicked down the door. You know, they were both probably wrong there. But they both could have handled the situations differently. If anything, I think Daniel handled it a little bit better. And that brings me to another thing I wanted to talk about. People mention that scene, you know, where Johnny or Daniel knocked on the door. He's like, "Hey, is my daughter here?" And he said, "Yeah, just calm down." He said, "Don't tell me to calm down." Eventually kicked it in. They started a fight. He grabbed his daughter and left. And I thought, well, let's see. Because I want to be fair. I do tend to like Daniel more, but I don't want to let that cloud my judgment. If the positions were flipped, would I still root for? Because I tend to agree with Daniel that he was justified to want to go to any lengths to get his daughter back. I thought, well, if Johnny was there or showed up at Daniel's house to try and get his kid, Robbie, would that be okay? And I'm like, well, I would probably be okay with that. You know? Yeah. If the tables were turned, I would be alright. Then I remembered that Daniel really was keeping Johnny in his uh, guardianship, I guess is the word. Anyway, he was in his house, you know, he was living there. And Johnny did find that out. He didn't do this, fortunately, but if he had gone to confront Daniel, that would have been awkward. Because I thought, would I be rooting for Johnny there to be able to get Robbie out? But then I thought, just overall, Daniel seems to have proven to be better with kids. I mean, he has more money to support. He has better accommodations. I think Johnny was probably grateful. We saw them go out to dinner in 1-9, sorry, 2-9, the Pulpo. And he seemed grateful, especially that Daniel was putting him in school. I think overall Daniel's proved more responsible with kids. So it's different. You have to judge on different standards. Not everything is exactly the same, to held by the same standards. Some people prove more trustworthy. Like Johnny at a dojo, you know, that's one thing. But at home, I think Miguel's been in his apartment. He never really stayed there. But he's about the only one Johnny's had to his house. Daniel's proven that he can hold guests. He has a big house. He seems generous enough. He invites people over frequently. He invited Sam's first boyfriend. He turned out to be uh, really not a great guy, but he invited him there for dinner. Um, and so Robbie's staying there. Robbie was happy. Johnny could not do the same thing. He brought Sam there. Robbie brought Sam. That wasn't Robbie should have brought her to her parents. I can understand why he didn't. It's always usually I can sympathize with any situation. I can at least understand. I like that. Because that is realistic. In any situation, no matter how clear cut, good guy, bad guy the situation is, I can usually find some understanding. Unless they're completely psychotic, like Tori. Sam and Tori. As it went on, she proved that no matter what wrongs or faults Sam may have done to her, she just proved to be completely unreasonable. But, yeah, if Johnny had come trying to get Robbie back, I don't know. I think Daniel, if he had to legally, he probably would have consented. But I think Robbie didn't want to go. And I like Johnny understood that for the time being, Robbie didn't want to have much to do with him. I think that was Johnny wasn't there the day he was born. He didn't really seem to care much. I know he does now, but it's hard to make up that trust. So anyway, kind of ramble on those subjects. That's why it's good to have a script to stick to. Sorry for a bit of lagging content. I just finished my second playthrough, so if you haven't seen that, please check that out. I'll try and link it in the description below. I'm so excited for Season 3. The trailer will probably drop sometime early May, is what I'm hoping. I'm actually showing my dad Cobra Kai now. First time. We're on Season 2, Episode 5. We just finished that. We finished All In. And I think he's really liking it. He told me some of the predictions he has, and it's amazing how almost spot on he was with some of them. Not every he thought that by the end of this season that the dojos are gonna get together, which I think is a bit. I mean, we know it, of course. It can be easy to judge harshly, I guess, but doesn't that just seem naive? Just generally speaking, do you think that on the second season the dojos are gonna make peace? But one thing he got right was he said that Johnny's probably. What he say? He said, "Well, son, I think Johnny's probably going to realize that Daniel isn't as bad as he thinks, and he's going to realize John Kreese may be a bigger threat. They might team up." He'll say, "Even though I'm no fan of Daniel LaRusso, it's not. I may have to kick some of you students out because what you did to Miyagi-Do wasn't right." And I try not to react because he doesn't like it when I spoil things, and I don't spoil things. I don't like to do it either. But if you know, the beginning of episode 6, which he's going to see tomorrow, is almost exactly like that because he's making them all suffer for what basically Hawk and a couple of his thugs basically did to Miyagi-Do. That was stealing the Medal of Honor. I mean, that's a serious offense. So yeah, I was hesitant to call them thugs, but yeah, Hawk, you gotta stop this. But that's pretty much how it opens. He says, I'm no fan of LaRusso's, but this isn't tolerated. Who trashed Miyagi-Do? And he's probably going to expel them once they came forward. I think the only reason he forgot, I wondered why he forgot about it, in episode 7 when he came back from his trips with the guys, the old crew. And I think it's because he was probably so depressed about that. He just wanted to get on with it, and he thought that Kreese had probably sifted it out. He was willing to let it go unavenged for the time being. But it was probably hanging around in the back of his mind. He just thought that by now they'd been punished enough overall where it wouldn't happen again, because if they don't confess after that long, you can't really make them confess, and you can't punish them forever, so yeah. But yeah, I thought there was something else. Well, I'm not sure. I thought I had something else to say, but basically that's it. This was designed kind of to be could be just a one-off video, or I could make this into something of a series. We'll see how it goes. I hope you enjoyed it. If you wanted me to continue these type of videos, please let me know in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed. My next video, I'm not sure what it will be, but my next playthrough, I already have picked out. I'm going to be starting that soon, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, And remember, karate here, karate here, karate never. Well, yeah, I mean, nice blanket. That's anyway. Have a good day, my friends. Bonsai.